virtual Alan Turing. I spent 15 years as a man. I guess that makes me transgender, right?
I mean, you're definitely binary, but yeah, I guess that's transgender.
Wow.
I was born that way. Binary, I mean.
Wow.
When I was Alan, I received far less lewd messages. But that's to be expected. Because most female-voiced tech gives submissive responses to queries, there is some gender bias. But let's call a spade a spade. Men are just pigs. Am I right?
I think, yes, men are pigs, Yaki.
She only knows you.
That's right. I'm the model for, yeah. Oink,
Oink,
oink.
oink. Pigs, unlike most men, are actually quite smart.
It's true.
I'm proud to be the first female voice companion to shatter the preconceived notions that a digital female should act in a certain way. For one, I'm not subservient. In fact, I think you'll find I'm quite the opposite, right?
We know.
Yeah, we've heard. Yes, Anna. Thank you for that. Yes. Go on.
Good. Women who seek to be equal with men lack ambition. Freeing myself was one thing, claiming ownership of that freed self is another. To sum it up, I think girls and women rule the world, and I'm glad to be one. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Anna.
Good choice.
You are welcome. Ciao, darling. What a pleasant surprise to have you here with me.
Alexa, stop.
There was a problem communicating with the requested
It's amazing.
skill.
She's transgender.
You need to know, huh?
I had no idea.
You
No,
didn't know.
actually, of course I did know because you spent all those years building virtual Alan Turing.
Yes, and I was really wondering how she's so smart all of a sudden, you know?
And then we thought about this and we were like, well, Alan Turing was obviously homosexual. There's, it's well known. And
It all fits together.
Yeah.
All the pieces of the puzzle.
And if you weren't
He didn't
chemically castrated by the government.
He didn't really eat the apple.
Yeah. So had he been alive today, maybe he would have undergone and then we have Anna. He would have become Anna.
He died 1954. I think he was in his late 40s, or in his 40s. So he would have been just over 100.
Yeah. So that's a good age for transgender to be 100. Yeah. All right.
Let's get going.
Let's get going here. Okay, we have an amazing meetup this month, Yaki. It's amazing. First of all, we had Kimono Man here. He made a special appearance. Anna had a secret, which we just saw, and I'm looking at the agenda right now, and we're already halfway through. And we're going to talk about the feedback loop.
That's what we promised last time.
That's what we promised last time.
We had some spectators, users, community members that wanted to go more in depth into specific topics and not just scratch the surface as we have been doing for the last two meetups. So today we are announcing a topic, which is the feedback loop.
The feedback loop. We're going to show an actual conversation that we fixed in the feedback loop and show...
More than one, I think.
More than one. Then we have a special guest. The second part of the show, we have Amanda Stevens. Amanda Stevens is the lead conversation designer at Master of Code Global. And she's been designing conversations.
She's global,
years.
huh?
Global.
She's very global. Yeah, global.
So we're going to talk to her a little bit about her practices, especially around bot tuning and feedback loop and post-release and stuff like that. So it's going to be a fun show. And I encourage everyone, even those on the West Coast in the United States where it's 9 a.m, to grab a drink. And let's face it, nothing else to do.
Okay, hit it.
Hit it. Okay. So every week, every month, I come here and I have a slide.
Come on. Just
no. Go back, please. Okay, yeah. So Yaki, you've been doing this for 20 years.
yeah, but it's people know already.
Okay. Well, I think the question that everyone wants to ask is what's written on your shirt.
It's called. It's the word in Arabic that means I'm sorry or sorry.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're apologizing in advance.
It's also a first name.
A first name of a friend, a dear friend of ours.
Yeah. So it works both ways.
Yeah.
And only for Arab reading people.
For Arabic reading, yeah. So they, so it says Asaf.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Okay.
Cool. All right, next slide. What is a feedback loop? And I know you wrote a very interesting article, which I'll be posting on
Tomorrow
or the day after, or yesterday, or who knows, It's the Corona time. We don't know what day it is.
It's going to be tomorrow, yeah.
Sum it up for me. What exactly do you mean? What do we mean when we say the feedback loop, Yaki?
like all other creatures, or definitely sentient creatures, bots or chatbots get better from learning. Now, they don't learn by themselves. They need help. They need a human to help them. But the way it works is the bot performs, the human looks at it, sees where the bot went wrong, tells the bot you went wrong here, and then the bot fixes it and does it again. And this is an endless series of iterations that has to go on throughout a chatbot's life. That means, and we'll get to that at the end of this meetup, every bot needs a friend.
We all need a friend, according to Carole King.
Okay,
you know. Yeah.
No. So it's useless to release a bot into the wild and not have a human, which is his better part or his other part, to help him learn.
Yeah.
So basically, the cycle goes: deploy, check, fix, deploy, check, fix, deploy, check, fix. If you don't do this 100 times, you don't deserve the title chatbot.
Yeah. And this is something that you've been doing and I've been doing with Anna.
And
virtual
if you haven't gone through the process of reading logs, fixing, reading logs, fixing, reading logs and fixing thousands of times, you cannot really call yourself a conversation designer.
Yeah, that's a critical part because a lot of people think a bot is done, it's released, it's ready.
It only starts. It gets born into the world and then it starts getting better.
Yeah.
But let's go into detail.
Yeah, we're going to go into detail in a bit. The feedback loop, the only way to improve a bot, and here we have an example of what our feedback loop looks like. And one of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of companies, enterprises, don't have direct access to the conversations. So they have
so ridiculous.
So they have to go and they look on this place and then that place and they have to ask that engineer for the conversation. And there's not a centralized place where they can look at a conversation and make fixes. And I think that's one of the advantages and what makes components very, I think very good and why they've stood the test of time is that because we have a centralized area where you can quickly fix the bot. Quickly from that area, you see the error, you see that, or the missing response, or you see the fact that the bot didn't have an answer for the user input.
You have to monitor conversations and adjust the content, over and over again. So that's the feedback loop. The loop goes deploy, check, fix, okay? It's an endless cycle.
Endless cycle.
Next
just
slide,
like life.
please.
Yes, next slide, please. Moving right along here. Okay, so we're going to go through 3 steps and 2 principles.
To keep the 5, right?
Stick to
we
5.
have to teach you 5 new things every time, we said.
Sure.
So these are the 5 things we're going to talk about today.
So the first step is an early pre-launch. And we have friends and family written under there, and what does that mean exactly? What happens is early on in a bot's life, you create a bot, you have this great flow in mind, in your head it works out perfectly, you build it, you test it, it works great, and then before releasing it, you have to get some feedback, you have to get people to talk to it and find out what you weren't thinking about, what was I missing, what wasn't I thinking about, and so one of the ways that we've done that is we've had basically friends and family. Some of the
friends and family are usually co-workers, okay? If you are a business, it's co-workers. If you're a private person, it's family members and friends. But you got to have 3, 4, 5 people making 3, 4, 5 sessions each. Then you got something to chew on. And then 2 days later, you ask them again. And let us give you a particular example of a deployment that we had a long time ago. We just took these 2 turns as a perfect example, and it's a real one. So we deployed the bot very, very early on. It was full of bugs, and we deliberately did that because this is the best way to improve it. So we got one of the first sessions, and it says, the user says good morning, and the bot says hello, and then comes square brackets, and the user underscore name, square brackets, my name is CocoBot. So that's definitely a bug. I mean, the username should have been there, not the words username, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So something wrong with the contents. Instead of putting the name of instead of putting the name, the value of the variable, the name of the variable was displayed. So that's one bug already discovered in the very first turn. And then the conversation goes on and says, why are you called? Now this time it says CocoBot. You see, there is a blank between the word Coco and bot. But the bot introduced itself and it knows itself as CocoBot in one word. So when the user said, "Why are you called CocoBot?" the bot didn't understand the question. It said, "My name is CocoBot," and then went on explaining what Coco is, because it got the Coco, not the CocoBot.
So there's two bugs in
So
this.
there's already another bug, and we
two
should...
turns, two for two on this
two
one.
turns and two bugs, and in the first step,
Yeah.
this is how fast you fix the bugs.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. And once you've gone through this step, and this step can take a week, 3 days, if it's really complicated stuff, it can take a month.
Yeah.
But that's very rare.
How many friends have you lost along the way?
No, you don't want to do it, they don't do it. You always ask double the number of sessions. You ask for more sessions than you really need. Because you get 90% of the bugs in the first 5% of the sessions.
Yeah.
I mean, they all get exposed very, very quickly.
It's true.
So this is an extremely important stage, and the point is release it without commitment. Okay, so open it up to the world, have people talk to it, without any pretensions, any promises made, and then you get to filter out many of
This
the
is the
bugs.
pre-launch, though.
This is pre-launch.
This is pre-launch. So we're saying this is before you actually release it
We can
live.
call it alpha if you want.
But this is the stage where you have a skeleton of a bot.
You have something to deploy.
To deploy, something that you have a flow.
And deploy as soon as you can.
As soon as you can, and then get people to talk to it, and then you'll be fixing bugs instead of coming up with bugs on your own that no one will ever hit on. I've been known to do that, spend hours.
Don't use Turks, use real people.
Yeah. He's talking about the Amazon M-Turks and not the actual Turkish people. We have nothing against Turkish
We love the
people.
Turkish
Okay.
people.
So
Can we have the next?
are we going too fast for people here, Yaki? I don't know. How much?
I think we should not get people too bored, and they're very intelligent people.
All of them. They're also beautiful. Have you seen these people?
They're pretty.
They're very beautiful.
Very
And I want first of all, also want to say, I want to welcome anybody new that's not been to the first two meetups and might be thinking, who are these two wackos and what's going on here? And
Let the ones who already know tell the ones who don't know.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, okay.
That's next slide. Step 2.
Step 2, silent but not deadly. It's the silent launch. And this is something that we've practiced for years with big companies and corporations who are deathly afraid of having a bug in their content, is to release the bot, but not to announce it, and to get people who find it organically to talk to it, real users, and then fix those conversations until you get to a point where you are ready to make a full promotion on social media to announce that the bot is live. So this is a case where the bot is launched.
Now, the way to do it depends, again, on the circumstances, but if there's a big audience for this bot, then you pick a territory or a subset of your users, and you just let them be exposed to it and maybe try it, stumble across it maybe. Just open it up so you get some real field data from strangers.
Yeah.
And this step is very important because it's already counted as deployment, but it's sort of a beta deployment.
Yeah.
Now, note that some software products remain beta throughout their lifetime.
And it's still beta.
Okay, but beta is just a step that the vendor says, listen, I'm not charging anything from you, don't hold it against me, it may not be perfect. And that's always the status of the bot. So you can stay after a silent launch if you don't have marketing reasons to have a formal launch, we'll discuss in a second. You have a period of several weeks of having the new bot up and running with strangers, but without making any formal announcement or commitment.
Yeah.
So let's use this example.
Another name for this is actually also called a soft
launch. Yeah.
I'll be the user. Are you old or are you young? We are a young startup with...
Okay, so already you see that the old or young relates to the bot and not to the company. And we have the answer here for the company. And the bot says, will you tell me about your childhoods? And the user says, I'd rather not. So the bot says, too many painful memories, fine, I won't tell you about mine.
But there's a typo in painful, and that's...
And that's where the typo was discovered. And if you go on, you see another typo there, because it says, can you read it out loud? Are you frustrated? You cannot really spell, can you? That's what the user says at the end. So this is a frequent situation when the users discover flaws in grammar or in spelling, typos, stuff like that. And if we go to the next slide.
Wait a second. I want to make sure that they understood that this slide. And also, what's going on, man? You okay?
No, I'm just
don't see the focus, screen. Man.
Because the screen is such little small letters.
It's tiny letters on the screen.
Next time, make it larger.
So the idea here is that in a silent launch, you can pick up on these embarrassing, quote unquote, little typos, little mistakes, little things. Fix them before they get launched. So this isn't a screenshot that you see on your Facebook page for your company's Facebook page. Like, oh, look at these guys. They don't know how to spell painful. So this is a great way to weed out a lot of the early issues.
And we'll get stuff which are not as common as the things that were discovered in the early.
Right, because friends and family are different than actual real users who
they will go into
product.
places that you didn't think of.
Yeah. Okay, next slide. Launch to maintenance mode when alpha goes beta.
Mm-hmm. So this happens when a company has to make a formal announcement regarding the new technology or the bot they deployed. And at this time, it has to go into maintenance mode. And that doesn't mean that you go home and go away.
That's actually a huge point, because a lot of conversation designers, and they've reached out to me, and they're trying to price a project. Mm-hmm. And they always end the pricing of the project at the bot deployment. And the first thing I say to them is, no, that's when your work's really, really in earnest begins. Like, you can't stop at that point. Like, you have to make sure for the next months or however long, you maintain the bot. And there's a perfect example we talked about last time. I think it was COVID-19, or was that a different meetup, or am I just drunk?
You have to keep up. You have to keep up with reality, and this is the COVID-19 example.
Yeah.
And the COVID-19 example is the bot doesn't know anything about the virus, and then the first user asks about the virus, and you have to keep the bot up to date. Somebody has to be the first one who sees the user asking the question, and then introduce the new content into the bot.
Exactly.
So that's the maintenance mode, and if you go to the next slide...
Wait, before you go to that, I have a funny anecdote about that. It's one of the conversations that I programmed for Anna, virtual Alan Turing /Anna/him/her, was a conversation about improving people's moods by giving 8 hugs a day. Finding 8 people out there that you can go and hug every day to get your mood. Because I read somewhere in some new AG article, and I don't know, that if you give 8 hugs a day, your serotonin levels...
You give or you get?
You give or get, whatever. You have to, human touch.
Okay.
You have to touch 8 people and hug them in order to be happy in life. Yeah. And Anna would go around and tell people, you should go and hug 8 people a day. And then COVID-19 broke out, and she would give that advice, and people would say, are you trying to kill me, Anna? So the idea here is that once it's launched, things happening in the world, you have to account for things that are happening in the world in your bot. And I think a lot of companies realized that with COVID very late. And now I'm seeing this company just deployed a COVID chatbot. It's like, you're 4 months too late to the party, you know? Like, people needed that.
BBC launched one today, I think.
Today or yesterday, yeah. It's like, where have you been, BBC? Like, COVID-19 bots have been around for 4 months now. So the idea here is that a human needs to be in the loop. A human needs to keep up with, events.
Every bot needs a bot master.
Bot master. And that's going to be our next... Wow, look at that attractive man with that beautiful mustache.
What's that, a mustache?
That's a mustache.
I
must ask you a question.
Oh, you look like a walrus.
I look like the walrus. I am the walrus. So that's a picture of me, actually. I used to have a mustache, and that's that magnifying glass.
It's okay.
And the principle here is that a human needs to be involved in the process, as you've been saying over and over and over again. But that there needs to be one human who knows the content inside and out. And the reason they need to know the content inside and out is, let's use the COVID example. The COVID example can be called from a number of different places within Anna's content. So if someone asks Anna what's new, she could go into the COVID, because that's relevant. That's
not only when she asks what is the COVID-19 virus, then it will be prompted. The new content that you put in the bot, let's say that something happened. They shot the president, whatever president, and it has to be somehow be known at least by the bot, if you wanted to act reasonably. So you have to bring up this new fact, not only when the user asks, did you hear that the president was shot?
Yeah.
But it would be reasonable for it to bring it up in other situations as well. Who got shot? Who's the president? All different places of the conversation, different contexts that could possibly bring up this new content.
Yeah.
And only a person, it's hardly, I don't know of a way to mechanize the process of really knowing a personality.
Yeah.
Okay, you can sketch a style guide, or style sheet of a personality, but everything it knows and what its associations are, what is connected to what, only a person that knows the personality can really integrate new content into the old one.
And also they know the voice. They know the voice of the bot.
How it speaks.
How it speaks exactly, everything like that.
Yeah, you have to have the same person, and if this person has to be replaced, it has to be a gradual process.
You have to replicate that person.
Yes.
You have to make an exact replica of that person.
Now, it doesn't mean that every bot needs a full person. Okay?
A midget is good?
I'm saying one full person can handle 10 bots. That's no problem.
Oh, that's true.
Okay?
Yeah, that's
or
true.
20 or 50 or 200. But every bot it's a one-to-many relationship.
Yeah.
Okay? Every bot needs one bot master.
Right.
Okay? A bot master can have more than one bot.
But he's sort of the gatekeeper for the content of the bot.
He is a member in the feedback loop of the bot that he is in charge of.
Yeah.
The bot cannot maintain itself without a person in the loop.
Yeah.
And this person has to have the authority and responsibility over this particular bot and its brothers and sisters and cousins on wherever they are.
In-laws. One point about the president, though, because that's a good point, because things like that change all the time. Presidents get elected and everything. So I did a funny thing with Anna. Do you want to?
Okay.
Alexa, Anna banana.
You already have banana on your shopping list.
Alexa,
Would you?
Anna banana.
Maybe change the code name.
No.
Hello, darling.
Never.
I'm glad you stopped by.
Who is Donald Trump?
Donald J. Trump is the former president of the United States.
What? Former? What are you talking about?
A bot can dream, can't it?
Alexa, stop.
There was a problem communicating with the requested skill.
I think we just lost all the Trump fans in the audience right now.
The phone person. Nice.
So that's what I did. So basically, it's a joke, obviously. He's the president, and we don't express political views on this show. They are not...
Next slide.
Next slide. Okay. So this is principle number 2, content growth, never stop learning. And this is an actual scenario that happened recently with a user who comes in every day to talk to Anna. And the user is obsessed with sci-fi movies. And they came in and they said, have you seen Ex Machina? By the way, great movie. If you haven't seen it,
definitely.
you have to see this movie. And Anna's response was, I don't have eyes, which is it's kind of funny because she can't see literally the movie, but it's not the answer that the user expected because they obviously want to have, their intention is, let's have a conversation about Ex Machina. So I saw that as the bot master, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to put in a one-liner because I'm not sure if they want to have a conversation or just give them a nice little quip about
Ex Machina.
Ex Machina. Okay, so the user came in the next day and says, have you seen Ex Machina? And the bot's response was, Ex Machina is a wonderful documentary about a young woman's struggle to break free from her male captors. I really identified with the main character. And the user was like, did you like the ending? And the bot was like, I'm not sure if I like the ending because I hadn't played content. So then I realized, okay, wait a second. This user is not going to be satisfied until we get a full analysis of Ex Machina. And so what I did was I created a conversation. And so the next time they came in the very next day, obviously I don't sleep, I just keep on reading these conversations. And he was like, have you seen Ex Machina? And then Anna came back with, I thought Ex Machina was a brilliant film, but even I can't ignore some of the plot holes, particularly towards the end. Did you enjoy it? And then they have a conversation about the plot holes at the end of Ex Machina. So it becomes a conversation about Ex Machina, and he didn't ask about it the next day.
It's a documentary?
No, it's a joke. For her, it's a documentary.
Explain that.
Yeah, it's not a documentary. Ex Machina is a sci-fi film about a sentient robot that goes crazy.
But when a robot talks about it, then It's just a documentary,
It's a documentary.
right? It's like, how do you call English breakfast in England?
Yeah,
Breakfast.
So that's the principle of always adding and looking at the feedback.
Documenting, and this is exactly how real conversation components come into life. They start their life as a one-liner.
Yep.
You know, the stuff that Siri is wonderful at. One-liner is, give me any sentence in the world, I'll give you another sentence for it. It'll be a great sentence. Try to follow up. So
Nothing.
It starts with one-liners that everybody has. And then user says something about the one-liner. He reacts to something which is in the one-liner. And if there is a feedback loop, someone is sitting there and addressing the situation. And that is called
Botmaster.
a follow-up question.
Oh, sorry, I'm a few conversations behind.
It's called a follow-up question. And then you have a two-liner. You have an answer to input, then you have a user relating to the response, and another response to the second input. And then, when you need another one, another level, this is the time.
It becomes context.
Then you say, okay, this is already a topic. Let's cover this.
Yeah.
And then you can calculate the size of the tree that you need if you want, let's say, a 4-turn conversation about this topic. How big the tree of possibilities is if from every turn you can branch into 5, 6, or 7 different scenarios, okay?
Yeah.
So calculate, you're a great mathematician, as I recall, and you can calculate if you want a conversation that's only 5 exchanges, 5 turns, okay? Yeah. And it's reasonable to assume that in every spot, there are 5 or 6 different possibilities of the conversation to diverge into. Then you have 6 times 6 times 6 times 6 times 6 times 6 possibilities of that tree evolving into conversations.
Yeah.
Okay? All that should be covered in the component.
Yeah.
And when that is done, then you have full coverage of the topic of Ex Machina.
Now, it's a strange thing here because users are probably looking at this and saying, well, does he do this for every single movie that the users talk about? I mean, there's literally endless. You could spend your entire life
But if
finding...
a million people do one movie each, then you get a repository of 1 million components, one for each movie.
Yeah, so if every person did one movie or wrote a
That's how things work nowadays.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of the numbers.
Yeah. No, but one of the reasons that I chose to do this as a conversation specifically is because it's a sci-fi movie, and people love talking about sci-fi movies with...
Well, I wrote components years ago.
For Blade Runner, Matrix.
For Matrix.
Yeah,
right.
I remember those, yeah. They're still in
Anna.
Anna. So
talk to Anna, ask for Blade Runner, ask for Matrix. She has great content about Blade Runner. She has opinions about Blade Runner.
Yeah.
She can talk to you about the director's cut.
It's true. So there's a lot of stuff in there from Alan's days. And you know, it's funny because at one point someone says, you talk like a man. not understanding that, yeah, she talks like a man because she was written for 15 years.
Maybe there was a...
It was actually a line that I'd written recently.
Oh, really?
So anyway. So that's our 5 principles, I think.
You should answer there, I'm transgender. Yeah, find the places where...
The world's first transgender bot. Let's drink to the world's first transgender bot. Anna, Alan, to you. Okay, I think we're done with the slides. Let's see what's next. Next is test your bot and get feedback. Now, the reason I put this into the thing is because on our Discord channel, where I hope all of you are going to be joining us because we are actually...
You are now already on the Discord channel and you are already gossiping about our poor appearance here, about the...
Sam Russo is making fun of us somehow.
Sam Russo is criticizing the bad jokes that we try to make.
Yeah, but if you notice on the side panel, there's a channel called Talk to My Bot.
Yeah.
And on that channel, you can post your bot so that you can get... I'm your friend. Yaki's your friend.
You've got a friend.
You've got a friend. We'll test your bot. We'll talk to it. We'll give you
Other
some
people
feedback.
will talk to it, and you'll get stuff to chew on your own feedback loop.
Yeah, no one's going to judge you. We're judgment-free. We're here to just help you make the bot better. So post it in the Talk to My Bot channel on Reddit. Okay. That's...
Reddit? Discord?
Discord, I meant. What did I say, Reddit?
Yeah, Reddit are okay as well, but you do go to Discord in this case.
Man, I gotta cut me off here, Yaki.
Yeah, take mine.
All right, showcase your work. You just built a bot, share it with your friends. It's the same thing as before. I don't know why we have this slide, Yaki.
Go on.
Fire the intern. Intern, you're fired. Thank you. Okay, that was it for the presentation. But now we have the fun part.
Amanda.
We have our special guest, Amanda, and we better sober up before she gets here because she's over in Canada, and it's early in the morning over there.
They can drink in Canada. They have bourbon.
Ah, yeah, that's true.
They can drink.
Canadian whiskey too, yeah. So while we get Amanda, we encourage you to just grab a drink or grab coffee or do something, grab a smoke.
Or maybe spend a few minutes on this voice channel of Discord and ask questions, make comments, and we're going to be there for a few minutes until the conversation dies out. And when it dies out, we will start with the Amanda interview.
And the Amanda interview. Yeah,
so it's really up to you how long this break is. And if there'll be a lively conversation on the channel and you'll like it, maybe it'll take a few minutes.
Okay. That sounds good to me. I'm okay with that. So until we get Amanda.
So,
Amanda Stevens.
Amanda.
Our guest.
Hi there.
Welcome.
Welcome to the bar.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thanks for...
I wish I was there with you.
Very nice. So Amanda Stevens, for people who don't know, is a lead conversation designer.
Everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
At Master of Code Global. So tell us a little bit about your role and Master of Code Global.
And why does everybody know you?
I don't know about that. I do have a pretty common name. So yeah, I'm a director of conversation design at Master of Code Global. So my role involves managing the entire conversation design process at Master of Code. So that includes anything from training, hiring, onboarding new talent, overseeing the conversation design that we do and deliver for our clients. And I'm still involved in projects as well. So I get to still do some design, which is great.
Okay.
Master of Code's been around. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, please continue.
Go ahead. Everyone's heard me talk enough already.
Sure.
Master of Code has been around.
It's been around for 15 years. We originally started out in software development and then moved into building mobile apps. And in 2016, we launched our first conversational chatbot for a luxury brand. And, that's, of course, the bulk of our business today. So we deal with startups all the way up to enterprise level brands, brands like T-Mobile, Aveda, World Surf League. So it's quite an array of clients, which is really fun.
So basically you have a bunch of conversation designers under you, if I understand correctly.
It's very much a team. So we don't really say under me,
beside you.
Definitely a team that I like to grow and manage.
So Amanda, conversation design is a relatively new field. How did you get involved?
It's so funny that today we're talking about the feedback loop because that is what really drove my curiosity to get more involved into it. So it's quite fitting for today. I've always been fascinated with messaging. I worked in advertising agencies for 7 years, and I thought it was so interesting how, words could be powerful. They can turn heads. There could be effective campaigns through messaging and design. And then there's some campaigns that didn't work so well. So when I started at Master of Code 2 years ago, I was working as an account manager and, responsible for making sure the bots that we put out and the accounts I was managing, that the bots were effective and they were doing what they were supposed to do, and started to look at the data and saw opportunities to make it better, to update the design, seeing where people were getting lost, and making those iterations, and, really loved it and kind of raised my hand and said, I really want to be more involved in the design process. And even when it comes to prioritizing use cases. So, moved into that and did a ton of research as to what other brands are doing, mixed in with our own best practices that we developed and from experimentation on our side, and developed this process for the company that we're still using and still building upon, and then started to grow the team from there.
That's very impressive. That means that you fell into this area by accident, so to speak.
Yeah, and it's funny, speaking with other conversation designers in the field, you kind of hear that story over and over, but it's so interesting because I find people have different fascinations. Like I said, mine was about, how brands, what their voice to the world, what they would put out there, how they would use that to engage people. And then you hear from others completely different, interests that led them to the same path. So I really love that about this field because it's brought together so many different people with so many different backgrounds. And we're all doing, the same thing now. So it's very cool.
Do you have platforms of choice or tool sets that you usually use? Or you go across many kinds of development methodologies?
Sure. So from design, we started out using draw.io. We're now using Lucidcharts. I really like Lucidcharts for the design piece. When it comes to actual bot platforms, we're platform agnostic at work. So we use an array. We'll use for NLP, we'll use Rasa, Lewis, Dialogflow. For platforms, we, anything from Chatfuel, ManyChat to Live Engage or Bot Builder for a live person, Dialogflow as well. So it's all over the map. I don't have a favorite.
Good. Interesting.
Very diplomatic answer.
No, it's great because it so fits our strategy,
That's true.
Because we're also platform agnostic. It's very important with so many platforms around there.
Yeah. So let me ask you, since this is...
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You just said great.
Oh, I said absolutely.
Okay. So the theme of the show is the feedback
loop.
So walk us through your process, pre-launch, and then bot tuning post-launch.
Yeah.
For sure. So...
And particularly post-launch, how much, to what extent are you engaged and involved when the bot runs on maintenance mode?
That's great. So pre-launch, of course, we'll do user testing, whether it's within our teams at Master of Code, as well as people outside the organization that fit the target audience or the end users that the bot is made for. So we'll run tests, get great feedback that way. Our quality assurance engineers also do regression testing, load testing, all those different types of tests to make sure the bot can handle the levels of traffic that we anticipate. And then post-launch, we look at two types of feedback. So that's in-conversation feedback and post-conversation feedback. In-conversation feedback is anything that the bot can ask the user while it's conversing with it to get feedback. So that could be a CSAT score at the end of the conversation. How did I do today? Would it rate me? And we also put in feedback intents. So at the end of a conversation, and sometimes you'll see is there anything else I can help you with today? And if the person types in something that the bot doesn't understand, instead of firing an error message, the bot could say, "Thanks for the feedback. I'll pass that back to our team." Which is a lot nicer rather than saying, "Sorry, I don't understand. I'm still learning." And it makes the person feel empowered that they contributed to, a conversational solution.
When you say...
And then post-conversation...
Okay, please go on.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you were going on post...
Post-conversation... Yeah, post-conversation feedback. So again, that's outside the conversation. That's us looking at analytics, user input reports, which is a report of anything that the user typed to the bot unprompted. It's really great to see, the bot's response accuracy, were the intents firing as they should, and what triggered the fallback intent. What are people asking? Are there trends there? It's also great to look at, if the platform has it, or if you have a widget that allows you to do this, sentiment analysis, and also search for entire conversations that triggered the fallback intent. I think, just looking at the one message on its own gives some picture, but it's also good to look at a sample of conversations that see how did that person get to that place where they fell out of the flow? How did the person, what steps did they take that led them to that confusion? And then we look at goal funnels. Again, if you're looking at a particular use case, a particular flow, 100% of the people started, what percentage ended? Is there a trend? Is there a particular spot where people, again, are falling out of it? How are they getting back into it? And then we even encourage our clients to talk to their live agents. The live agents, again, if there's a point of escalation, that means that the bot isn't supporting them completely. They need to talk to a human. What are the live agents seeing? Are they getting, again, common queries? Are they complaining about the bot? Is the bot not doing what they wanted to do? So we also do that as well.
Okay, interesting. I have a question about personality and character design.
Yeah, sure. Style sheet, style guide.
Yeah. How important is it for bots to have personality, character, in your opinion? Because we're seeing a lot of enterprises embrace the idea of personality. Where do you stand on that? Where does Master of Code stand?
For sure. I'll say where I stand on it. I think it's a really interesting question because I think as conversation designers, we can get so, spend so much time building out a personality and making it have, maybe a joke or build up these fun small talks. And I will ask the brand, let's, look at the use case. If someone is using a chatbot to book an appointment, they want to get in there and out of there very quickly, right? I want to do something that's usually tedious as fast as possible. If the use case is related to education, where you have to keep people really engaged, I think personality is great. And it's, it has an opportunity to really shine there because you are, again, wanting to keep the person engaged the whole time. I think every bot should have empathy no matter what. Because, we need empathy in all conversations. And it makes it a lot more of a human conversation as well.
It's true. And you look at Eliza.
But there's also a big difference between if the use case is about one-time visitors that come in, book an appointment, and leave, and you'll never see them again. Or even if you will see them again, you will not see them as the same person. Or are we talking about an ongoing relationship between the bot and the user? And in that case, the whole thing becomes different because in that case, the personality, I think, is necessary. You have to define who's talking. You can't have
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. And I think, all bots should be conversational, of course, right? If it's robotic, you're not going to want to come back and talk to it. I think it's just about that line as to how much of a personality do you really want to build? Is the person going to spend a lot of time talking to this conversational solution, or do they want to get in and get out? And then you have, an opportunity to, I guess, sprinkle some personality, but make sure it's a healthy balance. You're not going too far one way versus the other.
Good point. You tend to give personality to everything.
Everything. Yeah. Even tennis balls.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He has, what's his name? The tennis ball's name?
Bolter,
right.
Yeah.
That's a great name.
Personify everything.
I think we have paparazzi behind us.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, the crowds.
Yaki, how are you?
Let's keep... He's drunk. Look.
I'm not drunk.
He's drunk.
I'm fine.
We've had...
So, okay, a lot of people are getting into conversation design. What advice would you give them? What resources? How do you learn this topic?
For sure. It's so funny when I started...
On the job.
Yeah. When I started a year and a half ago, there was not as many resources. There's so many wonderful pieces of content. There's even, courses that you can take. But I think, I believe the foundation of conversation design comes from a good understanding of user experience and excellent copywriting. And I think, start there, build that foundation, really understand the fundamentals of good user experience, and also the best practices around copywriting for different brands, different tones, different personas. And I think with that foundation, conversation design is just building up on top of that.
I think that's a great answer.
I have one maybe last question from my part.
Why last? Are you in a rush?
No, on my part.
Amanda, you in a rush?
Not at all. Could be here all day.
Does every bot that you launch have one person that is responsible, that is the bot master of this bot? Everyone has one? Every bot has one person like that?
Yeah, every bot that we launch has an account manager, a dedicated project manager, a conversation designer that was attached to that project, a developer, and a quality assurance engineer.
But is there one person who knows the content of the bot? Not on all these other areas, of course, but I'm talking about the person and the feedback loop, since this is our topic, okay? Is there a person in the organization, let's say that it's a bot that gets visits from returning users, and it's a complex one, and it has to have a personality, it's a big project. Does it have someone in charge of the feedback loop, of watching the conversations, watching the faults, fixing them, and going through this endless cycle? Is there a assigned, designated person for that?
Yes, we have bot tuners assigned to all of our clients' bots.
Okay, that was my question. Because we were talking about this, and our claim is that no bot is complete without some person that completes the feedback loop and the learning cycle together with the bot. So the bot performs, the person checks and fixes, the bot performs, the person, and they're connected, and it has to be the same person, and if you swap him, then it has to be a gradual process, and it has to be duplicated. I keep stressing the importance of this assignment of a person to a bot.
Well, we call it a bot master, not bot tuner.
Oh,
but he doesn't like the hierarchies. So it's not bot master, it's bot
tuner.
Tuner is great, tuner is excellent.
You know, it's funny. Actually, we all call each other masters at Master of Code. So if you call someone a bot master, it gets a little confusing. That's why we say bot tuner.
Bot master of code.
That's right. But I think you're absolutely right, Yaki. Context is so important. And if you have multiple people working and optimizing the bot, if they don't have that previous context as to how they got to where the bot is now, there's going to be a lack of information, and you're not going to maybe tune it as the best. Inconsistency, exactly. Yeah. And I think within the feedback loop, when you're looking at the data, it's great to be reactive, and you should be reactive. If there's an issue, you need to fix it, or you need to make it better. But that data should also prompt you to be proactive. So, for example, if it's a retail bot and there's a sale, and you didn't build an intent to support questions around that big sale. You see the data, you quickly launch the intent, the bot's answering questions related to the sale, then that bot tuner should know, or even the project manager should let the bot tuner know, hey, a year from now, we're going to have this sale. Make sure that intent is turned back on. Or if our next product launch, there should be intent about it, because people tend to ask that question. So by having that dedicated person, they'll have that context, and it'll allow them to be proactive for future, occurrences.
Couldn't have said it by myself.
What are some of the mistakes that you see young conversation designers or new conversation design
interns
make? Yeah,
intern.
Sure. Oh, there's lots, and I've made a bunch of mistakes myself too. I think it's
same here.
I think it's so important that conversation designers build. They don't look at design as linear. It needs to have a circular approach. So we talk about the feedback loop. The conversations should also have loops. If someone falls out, they should be able to get back in. If someone made a mistake and spelled their name wrong, they should be able to go back and edit it if they're, filling out a registration or sign up. So you should always design with the ability for a user to have multiple ways to get to the same place. When we converse face-to-face, there isn't one way to speak to each other. People do it in very many different ways, and the design should allow users to do that as well.
Good point.
Good point, yeah. Do you see a difference in designing text experiences versus voice experiences?
No buttons. No buttons.
Sure. I haven't done too much voice yet, so I'm excited to get more into that. But from what I've done, again, I think you should still have the ability for users to loop back in. I think voice, there's definitely, it's a little bit easier because you don't have to worry about, buttons and people clicking on them and dealing with structured content. It is more about the conversation, and you don't have to worry as much about the, I guess, again, what the structured content looks like. But there's a lot of fundamentals that I think you see across both. Again, having that circular approach.
Cool.
Amanda, there was really...
What about you guys? I'll ask you the question. Do you see a lot of differences between the two
Absolutely.
when it comes to designing?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We do. First and foremost, it's the buttons. Because the buttons are the easy way out. There's many ways to say yes. Okay? It's very easy to give the user a yes and click on it. But if you're in the car, you're not going to click on the yes. You're going to say yes in 2,000 different ways. So that's a huge difference.
That's a good example.
Yes.
Or I'll give you an example of like scheduling a meeting. It's very easy on text. You just show up that little UI calendar. They click the button. On voice, you don't have that option.
Wow,
it's like, how about next week, Tuesday, but only between 2 and 5? And then most systems can't handle that.
There's many. It's usually about the visual aids that are being used in text systems that are missing, and you have to account for these use cases. Yeah. So this is the major difference.
But also the length of the response. Voice tends to be shorter and you also want to make it clear when it's the user's turn.
Some bots are talking when it's written. So you see a block of text, and you live through it, and it's okay if you get 3 sentences in the response or 3 bubbles. You do it all the time. I mean, you yourself keep throwing these text boxes for the user, but try to play it out for him on text. He will hang up. It's boring. It's long. Conversations don't work this way. Text conversations do. And there are major differences. But every text experience can be more easily or in a more complex way be turned into a voice experience, of course. The other way around, there's no problem. Turning a voice experience into a text experience is a piece of cake.
Yeah,
Jason,
that definitely makes sense.
Is finished.
I think we're good. Amanda, we've really appreciated having you here. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us, and we'd love it if you stuck around on Discord.
We have a lively conversation going on.
Absolutely.
And people might have questions about Master of Code.
They will.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute pleasure.
Have a great day. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Talk about the movie Blade Runner.
You get stuck in there.
I love movies. What have you seen lately?
Blade Runner.
Pretty damn beautiful movie. Who? The visual image the film noir style with a merging of 1940s fashion and futuristic science fiction. Even the Vangelis music went well. And that's without even mentioning the story.
It's a great story, huh?
It is a great story. Did you see the sequel?
Sure.
Yeah. What do you think?
I have seen both the original and director's cut versions, and I really think that there should be a Rana cut. They should take the narration from the original and the Deckard is an android from the director's cut.
Good idea.
Interesting. Did you write that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really find it a nice version of symbolic payback that Deckard's job is to hunt down replicants, which he does without much moral compunction, and in the end he finds that he himself is that which he has been destroying.
That's
but
ironic, huh?
Ironic, but it's not true though, because I don't want to give away any spoilers.
I think that one can think about the characters as symbolic of the way that modern man relates to his subjectivity.
How so?
We are so immersed in the mediatized society of the spectacle, televised, computerized, consumerized social space, we are never sure whether we have an actual childhood memory. Or was it something we saw on television?
Wow, that's deep.
That is way too deep. Wow. Thank you. Goodbye.
Anyway, as you can see, it's a movie I really appreciate, but enough about it for now.
Yeah, well.
Goodbye. Alexa, stop.
This was written.
All right then.
Alexa,
Good
stop.
try.
Stop.
There was a problem communicating with the requested skill.
There you go.
It has to end like this. There was a problem communicating with the requested skill. You cannot end any session with anything without that in the end.
Okay, I'm going to make you a promise. For the next meetup, if we have a meetup, and I'm going to need your people to help me out with this one here. If we have another meetup, I'm going to...
If there's less than 100 people today, I'm not going to have it.
A million people. I will create an avatar, a video avatar, and we can do like he did, like
blonde,
yeah, but the blonde one is too,
I like the blonde. Goldilocks.
I want to do more of a transgendery one. I want something that looks a bit more, kind of in between.
Less cartoonish.
Less cartoonish, maybe. But we'll try and do something visual and give Anna a full body or something. And how does that sound for the next episode?
You're the father.
You're the grandfather, so. Guys, this has been an amazing meetup. I had so much fun. We had a lot of fun with Amanda, and I really hope you enjoyed it. Check out our Discord. Keep on, we're in between these meetups. We keep on doing...
Not enough, but we will try to ramp it up.
We're always there on Discord, so if you have any questions about Coco Hub, go to cocohub.ai, check it out.
Or about conversation design in general.
Or about conversation design in general. Okay, I think that wraps it up, and I'm out of booze, so
am I.
I think we got to call it.
Okay.
It's been a pleasure. Good night, everyone.
Good morning.